number of people here that wanted to talk or discuss about the downtown improvement part of the project. He's on now. Well, let's go ahead and bring him into this and let him take care of that so he can move on.
Okay.
In case I say something wrong, they can beat me.
You're going to hear it twice. Okay. Jeff, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
Jeff, can you hear us? Ah,
Well, we can see him.
Okay. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
I'm going to go with no because he's not trying.
I can.
Talk.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
cannot hear you.
Yeah.
If you can hear us,
Is that
you
any?
can hear us.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
There we go. Okay. Very
Okay. Okay. So we wanted to start with the agreement between CIC and the city, not for the land, but to talk about how things work between the. Mind sharing a little bit about what we're asking council for tonight?
Sure. So the agreement and plan is a standard operating arrangement between the city and the nonprofit independent community improvement corporation that the city is named as its agent for economic development. So an agreement and plan doesn't have to be a lot of detail. It just has to say that we're going to work together to advance the city's economic development at the benefit of the city's residents. And that's essentially what it says. You'll see there are not a lot of details in there. And typically that's how these are written. These are always in place when CICs are named as agents for their local communities, because the state community improvement corporation law says that if you're going to designate a CIC as the agent, then you're also going to have this agreement and plan, which is what's in front of us today. That's probably not a very good answer, but I want to paint a very broad picture there.
Okay.
Does anyone on council have any questions about this part of it? This is setting up the CIC, if I'm understanding it correctly.
It governs, so you'll recall a couple council meetings ago we voted to convey land for Richland New Hope on Adams Street. So it governs the work of that, and so it's a necessary function for the CIC to do anything. So it's not specifically in relation to any of the other things we're talking about tonight. It's just really an underpinning of the whole process. And I probably should have said who was talking to you. Sorry about that. That is Jeff Harris from Bricker and Graydon. And he has been the one that is assisting and advising us on economic development matters in the CIC itself.
And this is in particular Bill 25158. Yes.
Yes, that is 25158, correct.
Anybody else have any questions? That one's kind of a good one. Like the mayor said, an underpinning, a setup, a start. I guess it's not technically set up. We already did that. Kind of their rule book, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Importantly, your agency relationship is established by city council action that was already taken. This is the underpinning, as mayor said. And I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself. I'm throwing a few blanks here.
That's all right. I think we just cut you off by accident.
I can't tell if it's just delayed.
Yeah.
I think it's
it's
delayed.
delayed.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, council members.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. So that's 158. And I think that was the original thought, what our 5-minute meeting was going to be about. The second part that we have that came up tonight is conveyance of real property in Mansfield. And I know that several council members have been contacted by members along Main Street, different people around the community and things like that. So with that said, Mayor, do you want to address council on that one while we're?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So, what was being proposed tonight is conveying parcels along Main Street of the Mansfield municipal lot to be sold to Park National Bank, where they would build a new regional. It's not a headquarters, but a regional branch. I guess it's a little larger than a normal branch. The CIC would then take ownership of their current building at 3 North Main Street with the goal of ultimately finding someone to develop it. So for their current building, this is back to what we have talked about with the formation of the CIC in the first place, which is really having site control and making sure that we don't end up with another building in downtown that is sold to somebody who does not have the means to develop it. We are definitely getting looks from developers who have the wherewithal to do some of this work. It can be local people, and there are local people that are talking to us, but there are also some developers from a little bit further away, but still I would consider them local when you compare it to, let's say, West Park, where that developer is out of New Jersey, not local at all. So some of these other developers still would have presence in Cleveland or Columbus, things like that. So I think that, the proposal on the old building is that we would be the patient holder of the property, we being the CIC. So it would not be the city on the hook for that. The way that the agreement is being proposed, Park would lease back their space. So that would give us funding, the CIC funding to keep up the building while we ultimately look for someone to make the purchase and then develop it. Now, on the municipal lot, obviously that has received a lot of commentary and very fair. And I have been busy all day. I have not even opened my email because I've been on the phone with folks all over. And I see certainly familiar faces in the audience tonight and stakeholders in downtown. Those conversations can and will continue. One of the things that I did call Councilman Falquette and give him a heads up that, my suggestion is that we add a read to this tonight so that there would be no vote, so that we do have time for more of the public commentary. I will say this, that, developing the municipal lot is something that we have been talking about since 2018 when Mansfield Rising went into place. But we have known all along that if we are to take parking away, we need to replace that parking. And that is absolutely a part of this. Now, in an ideal world, I could sit here today and say, and here's the parking. And that was what we were working towards. But the timing of this is such that I was not able to get that across the finish line before it was becoming public. I can tell you very much that I'm still working on that. And in fact, the extra read and that timing may help that, right? So that I can reassure people that if we're going to lose parking in that spot, we can replace it in another spot that is as well close in serving the Carousel District. A year ago, we went and visited Worcester and had some conversation with the city of Worcester about parking in downtown in general. And one of the things that I walked away with that was the city there took a more aggressive approach to parking. And instead of having lots of little private lots, they went in and spearheaded larger public lots. And I think that that's a great way for us to start to head as a whole, because, as buildings get sold and things happen, you never know what is going to happen with parking lots. So our goal is to really look at this holistically. We have done a parking study on the public lot. We are very much in the middle of conversation about the meters. I'm looking at the chief back there. And do we replace meters, or do we go to free parking on the streets? It's not a shock to anybody that that's my preference. Don't know if the chief agrees totally, but we're working through that. So I'll end with that. But I did want people to know and understand that absolutely we understand that the deal as it is cannot just be, the lot is sold and no parking is replaced. It would have to be replaced. And we think that there is a path forward on that, but we're going to suggest that you add a read tonight to give this some space and time to breathe.
Thank you, Mayor. And I will open this for a few questions from council. And then our intention on the committee is to make a motion to add a read to this. So we'll do our caucus first reading tonight and then have the vote on the 15th. At least preliminarily, that's where we want to be tonight at the end of the meeting. Aurelio.
I have a comment, really. And thank you, Mayor Perry, for explaining what you just did, and also for your helpful social media post last night. I love when you do that. I think we're at the age of transparency in a way that we've never seen before the past few years with leadership. And I love that, folks are responsive and gives the facts. I think, I do represent Ward 5, which is predominantly the downtown area. And I probably have not received so many calls as the mayor, but I've been busy with my phone calls and meeting with some folks. And I'm also in a unique position where, as Mayor Perry, I'm one of the Mansfield Rising members who when it first convened in 2018. And that was something we're very open about, discussing purposes for that muni lot. A lot of discussions were multi-purpose, everyone could really, whether it's convening, purposeful stores, parking, all that stuff. But I will say, I know that downtown Mansfield has had a lot of trials. I live down there as well. And I know that businesses have taken a hit. And I also know that we as a city, spearheaded by the mayor, thank you, has made ways for financially helping businesses. We know that's not going to save you, but I will say that I'm glad we're not voting on this tonight, because I wouldn't be comfortable. I think that we need more discussions. I think as I got an email tonight from Ms. McQuillan, as we all did, and I can't quote it specifically, but you did say, like, you alluded to downtown businesses are having too much power on them at once. And I do agree with that. It's not easy right now. And I feel like there's been some concerns of, why are we building a bank and not something else that's going to benefit the community at large? And I agree with that as well. So I just want you to know that for those who do have businesses downtown, patrons, business owners, residents, we're listening. And so again, I'm glad we're not voting on this tonight. It does encourage more conversation. It also encourages more public comment. We encourage that through emails, phone calls, social media, but I prefer when people come and actually come here and tell us face to face if they are able to do that. So I just wanted to share those sentiments.
Thank you. Sherry?
I would like to also echo what Aurelio said, Councilman Diaz, and Mayor, thank you for being clear. I know a lot of times in this day and age, we're used to getting things right away. And then you want answers right away because so many questions come up. And I can tell you that I'm a big proponent of growth, but I'm also a proponent of collaboration. And to see this many people in here is encouraging to me, because we are a community and we can't have sustainable growth without this collaboration with the city administration, the council, and the business owners and the people that go downtown. That being said, I also ran a traffic section for many years, and I can tell you, I kind of switched my stance on the meters. Sorry, Chief. I was a big proponent of the parking meters. because I felt like they really served the purpose for the shoppers and not just the employees parking there and those problems. When you look at this, and it's again, it's a complete look at it, and I feel that there's a path, and I think part of that is that collaboration here. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of seeing our businesses leave our city. In the last 10 to 15 years, we have lost Interstate Battery, we've lost Hobby Lobby, we've lost Aldi's, we've lost Spitzer, we've lost Cole Tool and Die. I mean, I can go on probably with about 4 more. I commend the fact that we have someone that is a business here that is looking to invest significantly in our city in this revitalization. And we have to consider that too. So I really believe that there's a path. I sympathize with Aurelio, the mayor. I had some phone calls myself today, and I can assure you the parking is an issue. I think we're all aware of that here on city council. And I definitely agree with the second reading, not doing anything today. But I just want everyone to be open to what we're trying to accomplish here as a city. So that's really all I have to say. And thank you again for showing up, because this is important. And thank you for the phone calls. I appreciate it.
Yep. All right. Ms. Meyer.
Thank you, sir. I also appreciate the mayor's transparency. Mayor, if we push this for another read, how realistic is it? Do you think that there's realistically you would have an idea on a parking lot before we put this to a vote?
I can't say that for sure. I can tell you I'm actively working on it, and in fact have even came from a meeting tonight about it. So, I mean, as I said, that was my intention. So, as soon as I can do that, that's what I would like to do. But I don't want to sit here and say, yes, I can do that for sure in 2 weeks, because I cannot say that for sure.
Okay. And then I guess so that I'm clear, 25-156 is that's the actual piece that is conveying the municipal lot to the CIC. Is that correct?
Yes.
At least part of the municipal lot.
And where is the legislation, or will there'll be future legislation where we acquire the current Richland Bank? Park
That-
National?
Actually, that will happen at the CIC, because
That
the
only happens there.
correct,
Okay.
because the bank will be at the CIC, not the city itself.
Okay.
So, which is better all around from a liability standpoint for the city itself. And then, we don't, there's no tax dollars being put into that old building. It will be maintained through the rents that are currently in the building, because it's rented out. So, yeah. I will just clarify for all council, some know the reason it all got late, the wrong legislation got attached. So, originally it really was just going to be that first piece that we talked about tonight. And we would have had a little more time, but that's how it happens.
Well, we thank you for that. And I think we'll have public comment, of course, if anybody signs up for that. I do, I guess I was about ready to close, but I guess you want to put your hand up. All right, that's okay. But we'll make that motion and when I bring it up in caucus to make the extra reading. And for the people way out in the back 40, there's still chairs left and they're brand new and they're all renovated. Try them out, see how you like them. We don't mind if you move around, and there'll be public comment a little bit later.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
along that lines, I'd just like to say, tell the folks back there, there is a sheet back there in the corner if you do wish to sign up for public comment. So,
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Reverend Al.
Again, okay. Just echoing what has already been said, but I will appreciate seeing if you're having a second reading and the third. So by then we have enough time to have public hearing, process it, and the mayor will be able to, within that period, do something with the parking lot and every other thing that will come along. That's what I'm looking at.
And I think what I'll say to that is I would like to try and do this in 2 meetings. Certainly at the next meeting, if there's still strong sentiment that we need to extend farther, we've done that before. I don't want to extend it infinitum, certainly, but if at all possible, maybe we'll have these answers that we need by this next meeting. There's certainly a lot of time for discussion and things like that. Anybody else on council? All right, I'm going to close at 6:51. I apologize for running so far over.
All right, at 6:51, I will call the safety committee together. And we have multiple pieces of legislation for the safety committee. I think we'll start though with Chief Beman, if you'll come up and we'll talk about the police department first. Welcome. I'll just let you take it over. Okay.
Can you hear me now? All right. Okay, we have 2 pieces of legislation. The first piece is just to accept and appropriate forfeited funds. These are the results of completed drug investigations and arrests. It's $25,516. These funds, by law, I have to spend 10% of those funds back to the community for drug enforcement, drug education. So we got a couple projects in mind with this. Director Andrus and I have talked. We're looking at a couple things with the parks. So that's kind of our only plans at the moment for those funds. The second piece of legislation is just to purchase 2 new police canines cruisers. Our current vehicles are running about 130,000 miles. Matt Smith, our mechanic, he's pretty much been duct taping these things together for years. So this would get us 2 new cruisers for our 2 newest canines. Total for now these are the complete 2 cars is $152,265.54. So I want to point out $31,104 of this funding is coming from 2 old cruisers that were involved in accidents and were totaled out. And what's unique with the canine cars compared to a normal cruiser, these are a little more expensive, about $6,000 a piece more. It's because of the extra equipment that's needed for the canines. In the back, there's extra safety equipment and stuff for the dogs. So that's why traditionally these are a little more expensive. Pretty cut and dry.
Go ahead, Councilwoman Foxhead.
All right, just to clarify, and I know you said it, but I like to repeat this. This is complete stickers on the outside, siren on top, automatic opening doors for the dogs,
Yes, sir.
ready to turn the key and go to work.
This is why I always say tax title, no tax, but tax title out the door, sir.
Perfect. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Chief, also just to echo, there were no local dealerships here in Ohio or in the Richland County or Mansfield area that could provide these cruisers, correct?
Correct. This company or this dealership is out of Pittsburgh. They offer the state Ohio pricing for these, and they have these vehicles on the lot, which we could not find in Ohio. It's about a 2-year waiting list for cruisers. So we can run over and grab these as soon as this is all approved.
Okay, thank you.
No one else? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, and we'll call Chief Crow. and Captain Urian up. We've got a couple of pieces here, and I did invite Captain Urian here myself this evening because this major grant that we got here, he assisted Chief Crow in writing this, and we are so very thankful for your expertise and being able to get this. And it's not the first time that you've been here, so we appreciate all of your efforts for sure. So go ahead and I'll let you. Do they?
You can pull it out.
So I'll just-
Yeah, pull it out and hold it. There you go.
I'm not going to speak for long today because I'm going to hand it over to Captain Urian, but so we do have two pieces of legislation today. The first one I will talk about is to accept $100 from Harbor Freight in the
Yes.
form of a gift card. So we're very thankful to Harbor Freight for that generous donation.
Absolutely.
But I want to introduce Captain Urian because we, since I became chief, we've really put together a targeted plan for grants, which are very competitive for fire departments. And we've been pretty successful. We've received 2 AFG grants now for 3 different projects, plus 2 workers' comp grants, plus a couple other smaller ones in there. And you hear from me a lot, but Captain Sean Urian's done a lot of the background work, preparing the narratives and kind of working with me on making sure that we are going for the grants that we have the highest chances of success on. Captain Urian also is our station captain at Fours, which is on South Main Street, in addition to being the hazmat operations captain. So he runs our hazmat team. So he's very busy and we're very proud of him. So I'm going to let him go ahead and talk about this grant.
Thank you, Chief. Like the chief stated, this is an assistant to firefighters grant through FEMA. This grant is a very competitive grant. Just to give you an example, this year they cut the funding and it's like lowest funding available in the past of this grant. So we're 2 projects that we were awarded out of 1,450 grants. So we're very fortunate to get that. We definitely target grants that we have the best chance to get to. This will take care of some training for our fire officers. The grant that we got last year was Fire Officer 1 and Fire Officer 2, basically just command and how to lead, which is something that we have not had. So we got some very good formal training from the University of Akron. This training that we're getting this year will be for firefighters, our fire officers become certified in training for fire and EMS, something that we can do in-house, which is very good. It'll cover the overtime for the firefighters attending this training, and it will cover the overtime for the firefighters backfilling when they're in training. So we have $50,000 for that. One of the biggest things for me was the diesel exhaust. So we got $218,000 to purchase vehicle exhaust removal systems. This will help mitigate the health risks that our firefighters face every time the truck starts up and pulls out of the station. Why this grant is kind of personal to me is I had a station captain, Dan Feldman, that retired in 2018 after 33 years of serving our city. He lived 5 years after retirement. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2023 from occupational cancer. So this, I mean, I would not saying this was directly tied to the diesel exhaust, but it's something that is definitely a risk for our firefighters. And it's something that the state of Ohio has taken initiative to and across the country, offering grants like this to help mitigate that. So all of our stations, our 5 stations will have this installed. And each time the vehicle starts up, it'll start basically capturing all those diesel exhausts, those harmful emissions, and keeping our firefighters safe. This whole project was $260,000 approximately. The federal will take $285. We only have 10% match, which would be $25,000 for this entire grant. In the last 10 years, we've been successful in securing about $687,000 in grant funding from FEMA.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Was there a photo that did you bring a photo?
Yes. Are you guys able to bring that up?
Yeah, I think so.
Chief Crow and myself spent most of our career at Station 3 on Sunset Boulevard. And then in 2011, our station captain encouraged us to do some little bit of spring cleaning, and we cleaned the walls. And this is just a prime example of all those fumes and that stuff
Right.
coming off the trucks right there.
Yeah.
So that tile right there was an example. We cleaned around it. We kind of left our mark from
Left the
crew
mark.
from
Nice.
2011. So
Nice.
this is just an example of what, is coming out of those trucks when they start them up.
Right.
So this will definitely be a benefit for our firefighters.
Absolutely. Any questions from committee or council at large? Councilwoman Mount, go ahead.
I think I understood what you said for the additional training. That is for the fire instructor class?
Yes, fire instructor
Is it
class.
1 and 2?
Yes, they'll be able to teach EMS,
Great.
which is very beneficial. And
Thank you.
predominantly, that's what we do.
Anyone else? No? Fantastic. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming tonight, Captain, and keep up the hard work.
Thank you for the
Thank you.
invitation.
And with that, we'll close the Safety Committee at 7:01.
Next, we'll have a public hearing amending the zoning districts map of the city of Mansfield, Ohio. This was published in the News Journal. And I guess at this point in time, is there any questions, discussion, comments pertaining to the zoning districts? Okay. I guess hearing none, that so noted, that was the public hearing on the amending the zoning districts for the map of the city of Mansfield as ordinance 04208 to rezone the parcels. Okay. With that, we shall close that the public hearing. With that, I'm calling Mr. Diaz.
Bless you. Thank you, Mr. President. It is 7:02. We're going to start the Parks Committee. Councilwoman Laura Burns will not be here today. We'll do a roll call. Councilwoman Meyer. Nice. Today we have a guest, one of our friends, Mr. Eric Miller. He's going to come and discuss some pertinent issues regarding John Todd Park.
Thank you.
Don't use that
Is this
one.
one? Okay. Thank you very much. I'm Eric Miller. I live at 693 Coleman Road in Mansfield, and I'm one of the trustees for North Central Ohio Land Conservancy. And we're a land trust that's focused on protecting natural areas. And with that in mind, I would first of all want to thank the committee members for reviewing the written information that I sent you. And that information, I think you have or will make available to the other members of council. So I won't repeat everything in there. I'm also going to cut my remarks for less than 10 minutes because I see you've got a big agenda and a lot of people here on other things.
Thank you.
So John Todd Park has a ravine that is a very nice natural area. It has a better array of native spring ephemeral flowers than any other city park. In fact, it has, from a species count point of view, more than any 5 or 6 other parks, I do believe. And so with that in mind, we're asking you to execute a conservation easement. And the core of it, it's a legal document, about 4 pages long, but the core of it is the city would agree that they're not going to timber the 14-acre ravine that I've shown to many of you personally. And so that's the essence of the promise that we'll be asking you to make in the form of a conservation easement. Now, if you do that, then James Boyd, who has purchased land adjoining this park, is going to give the city a 50-foot wide strip that allows the ravine in the park to be connected to Cleveland Avenue. Cleveland Avenue has a sidewalk. Cleveland Avenue is an access point for a number of agencies, county and city agencies, as well as neighborhoods. So people would then be able to safely reach the sidewalk on Cleveland Avenue and walk through John Todd Park, circle through the ravine and come back to Cleveland Avenue. This would also open the road for us to help the city acquire a footpath easement on top of your sewer line easement, such that for very little expense, the hiking trail could be extended to Oak Street as well. Those are some of the improvements that would befall John Todd Park. The city's put a lot of money into John Todd Park lately, the restrooms, the shelter. These are things that we think can be done with minimal expense for the city. We also believe we can raise money to get invasive species removed and get some construction debris removed. Some of that construction debris was left by the city itself many decades ago. So those are the types of improvements that can be accomplished. There's a number of people here. We're not going to take up any more time than we have to. So we will be leaving with you a sheet so you know how many citizens showed up in support of this proposition. You've got 2 church groups that have already pretty much adopted John Todd Park. They've had events there, litter pickup, programming for children, picnic, worship service, all of which they plan to do again next year. And so I think there's a great future for John Todd Park. It is the best place in the city for teaching city kids what ancient Ohio used to look like. It's the best resemblance left. So those are all the reasons why we will be asking you to consider this. And at that point, in deference to everyone else in the room, I'm going to be quiet for a change.
Any questions for Mr. Miller? I just thank you. For those here who haven't been to John Todd Park, it's on the south side. I encourage you to go. It has a unique, I think out of all the parks has a unique balance of urban and rural. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And at 7:07, we're going to end the Parks Committee.
Okay, with that, at 7:07, we will call this session of Mansfield City Council caucus meeting to order. Are there any committee reports? Mr. Diaz.
Thank you, Ms. President. For those who, this is your first time coming to City Council, we like to give some updates, not of all the happenings in the city, but just a few to be aware of until our next meeting, which will be October 21st. So this Saturday is going to be pretty busy in Mansfield. We're starting out with Richland Outreach Center, which is a nonprofit, has some land over on the corner of Wayne Street and Gray Street. They're having their annual trunk or treat. That's going to be from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So please bring the youngsters out for that. Also Saturday, beginning at 10 a.m. at Liberty Park is going to be the annual Big Fall Festival or Big Fall Cleanup. This is going to actually be a partnership between Rewild Liberty, the residents of Ward 5 and Eastview Elementary. So if you like to get dirty, we would like for you to come out and help us. We'll be meeting at the pavilion. Also on Saturday from 11:45 a.m. to 2 p.m., there'll be Dancing for the Cure. This will be a fundraiser for cancer research. It's going to be held at the SC Event Center, which is at 417 Orange Street. I believe the admission or ticket ahead of time is $20. And then the final announcement is going to also be Saturday from noon to 3 o'clock. It'll be the Shades of Pink free luncheon. There'll be dynamic speakers. Again, just an event to really highlight and raise awareness for cancer. That's going to be at 376 Longview Avenue, which is the United Steelworkers Hall. That's being spearheaded by the Shades of Pink Committee, We Act, Cleveland Clinic, and Titus 6. So a lot happening on Saturday, and that concludes the community announcements.
Thank you. Any other committee reports? Okay, with that, Mayor, you have anything for council this evening?
I'm going to defer the majority of mine since we've got so many folks, but because I know everyone wasn't in the room when we had the original committee meeting, I did want to just let people know that council has already voted to add a read to the legislation regarding the downtown parking lot. So nothing will be voted on that tonight. Thank you.
Director Andrews.
I'm going to defer my comments so we can save some time tonight. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Director Converse.
Nothing to share. Thank you.
And Director Harper.
Nothing to add at this time.
Okay, well, that all went quickly. We will now proceed with legislation. We will start with Bill 25-151. Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, sir. Bill 25-151, as discussed in committee, this is to accept and appropriate forfeiture money received in the amount of $25,516.
Is there any discussion on Bill 25-151? Okay, hearing none, moving on to Bill 25-152. Once again, Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, sir. Bill 25-152 is authorizing the Safety Service Director to accept and appropriate a donation from Harbor Freight in the amount of $100, and we appreciate that donation from Harbor Freight.
Any discussion and questions on Bill 25-152? Okay. Moving on to Bill 25-153, Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, sir. 25-153 is authorizing the Safety Service Director to purchase from the Jim Shorkey Auto Group two 2026 Dodge Durangos for the Police Division K-9 unit.
Any discussion on Bill 25-153? Okay. Bill 25-154, Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, sir. As also as discussed in committee, 25-154, accept and appropriate a grant from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security under the fiscal year 2024 Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program in the amount of $259,841.79 to be used for building improvements, training, and related overtime costs.
Any discussion on Bill 25-154? Okay. Bill 25-155, Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, sir. Bill 25-155 will be authorizing the adoption of a policy to permit the use of employee dishonesty and faithful performance of duty policies in lieu of surety bonds for officers, employees, and appointees of the city of Mansfield.
Any questions, discussion on Bill 25-155? Mr. Fauquet?
Thank you, Mr. President. On that particular one, is there any cost to the city? It sounds like a surety bond. It sounds like there might be cost involved with that.
I think Director May can address that if you'd like.
Thank you, Councilman Falcott. So myself and our risk analyst, Ms. Martin, did have the opportunity to speak with our insurance on this matter today, and it would be a rather nominal cost, approximately $250.
Thank you, Ms. May.
Thank you.
Any other questions, discussion on Bill 25-155? Okay, moving on to Bill 25-156, Mr. Fauquet.
Thank you. This is the one conveying real property on the city of Mansfield over to the CIC. That real property is the parking lot. And at this time, I'll make a motion that we have a second reading and a vote on October 21st.
Second.
It's been regularly moved and seconded that we have one read caucus this evening on Bill 25-156. Do you have that motion in the? Council should have that motion before you hear momentarily.
Mr. Diaz, if you will log out and sign back in.
No voting twice. There we go.
Is this the correct motion?
Okay.
No.
Doesn't use the words I used, unfortunately, but this, what we're trying to do is the caucus first reading tonight, second reading vote on the 21st.
We had a mistake vote too, so.
All right.
You're gonna clear it out. Okay, I guess, hope it's okay. We can do a voice vote on this. Okay. See, Mrs. Burns is absent. Mrs. Meyer. Mr. Akuchi,
Yes.
Ms. Daly,
Yes.
Mr. Diaz,
Yes.
Ms. Mount,
Yes.
Ms. Robertson,
Yes.
Mr. Fouquet,
Yes.
and President Scott, yes. Okay, so it's been regularly moved and seconded and motion passed that we waive further readings tonight, and this be only for caucus only on Bill 25-156. Okay, moving on then to Bill 25-157, Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Bill 25-157 is adopting personnel positions, pay grades, and salaries for certain employees of the city of Mansfield, 2026 payroll year.
Okay, is there any other discussion on Bill 25-157? Okay. Bill 25-158, Mr. Fouquet.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill authorized the Public Works Director enter into an agreement for industrial commercial distribution research development with the Mansfield Community Improvement Corporation. That's the CIC, and that's the what we had the attorney here at the beginning of the meeting talking about what those baseline requirements are to get that continue to set up and running.
Any further, or is there any questions on Bill 25-158? Okay, moving on. And Bill 25-159, Ms. Mount, that was our public hearings.
Thank you, Mr. President. Bill 25-159, as covered in the public hearing, is amending the zoning districts map of the city of Mansfield, Ohio, ordinance 04208 to rezone one parcel located at or around Annandale Avenue, Mansfield, Ohio, from zoning classification B1 Neighborhood Business District to B2 General Business District classification and declaring an emergency.
Is there any discussion on Bill 25-159?
Mr. President.
Mr. Fouquet?
I am under the understanding that this had already been presented to the, I want to call it codes and permits. That's not the right name for it.
Planning Commission?
Planning Commission, the Planning Commission that meets here, I believe, and they voted this down. And is anybody in attendance that can confirm that that's true? Thank you very much.
Just wondering if Ms. Ackerman could come up and if you have a summary of the feelings of the City Planning Commission, what they said.
I was watching, not paying attention.
I think it's on.
That's already on. Okay. So with this particular rezone proposal, the owner came to us. They wanted to initially use it for vehicle and boat storage with the intent of eventually doing mini warehouse storage. Since this lot is only 2.5 acres, it doesn't meet the B1 requirements for mini warehouse storage of a minimum of 3 acres. So we had to look at this from a B2 standpoint, which there are additional requirements here. This is right on the edge of the city limits. Part of the neighbors are in Madison Township. So we reviewed, looked at the setbacks because there are additional requirements since there are residential neighborhoods around there. And we also reviewed the parking requirements for a business that's adjacent to a residential properties, which is across from or beside. And our ordinance actually states that even if it's developed, as long as it's developed for 1 or 2 family units, that the primary entrance needs to be 40 feet away from neighboring residential properties, and it cannot be across from residential properties. And we have both of those situations here. There was not a good timeline, but Planning Commission reviewed everything and determined that it would kind of create a non-conforming situation. The vote was split 3-3. We had some members out that day with Director Porch breaking the vote, so 4-3 to deny.
Any questions for Director on this piece of legislation? Thank you. Is there anything else to come before caucus this evening? With that, I'll accept the motion to
Move to
adjourn caucus.
close.
Been regularly moved and seconded. We adjourn, dismiss the caucus. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. We are adjourned. That I'll call the session of Mansfield City Council to order. Please stand for the pledge and remain standing for the prayer.
Let us pray. Our precious Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight for your presence in this chamber. We thank you for all the wonderful things you're doing in our city. We thank you for your goodness and your mercy. Lord, we ask if there be anything in our lives, oh God, that you forgive and cleanse us. And Lord, we pray that you give us wisdom and discernment as we make decisions tonight, that all we say and do will be to your glory. And we thank you, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Clerk will now call the roll.
Mrs. Burns,
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Mrs. Burns be excused. She didn't get this one.
Aye.
Opposed, same.
Mrs. Meyer, Mr. Kuchar, Ms. Daly, Mr. Diaz,
Here.
Ms. Mount,
Here.
Ms. Robertson,
Here.
Mr. Fouquet,
Here.
President Scott.
Present. Unless there is an objection, the reading of the journal and correspondence will be dispensed with. This time we will have public comments. We have quite a few signed up, and as is always the case, we ask that you come up to the microphone there. We limit you to 3 minutes. Please give your name and address for the record. So with that, we'll call up Andrew. Thank you, sir. One of these days I'll learn your name.
Yeah. Good evening, Andrew Ank, 532 Bailey Drive. Pursuant to the lawful notice previously entered into the public record on September 2nd, 2025, wherein I, Andrew Ike, declared and affirm that my standing as county reeve with the highest lawful land authority within the physical boundaries of Richland County, the following points were clearly stated. One, my lawful status as an American state national and county reeve standing on the land and soil jurisdiction. Two, my right and duty to utilize public facilities, including the county jail, for lawful detention of offenders under the American common law and public law. Three, my intent to hold the public American civil peace flag raising ceremony as a peaceful and lawful expression of self-governance and the restoration of lawful government. This notice was served and made publicly available to all relevant municipal officers, city council members, and as of the date of this writing, no rebuttal, objection, or lawful counterclaim has been received within the standard 21-day period as provided under the principles of American common law and the law of contracts. Therefore, tacit agreement is hereby established and the following is affirmed. The city council and its officers have acquiesced to the lawful authority and jurisdiction of the county reeve as declared. The use of public facilities, including the jail, for purposes under the county reeve's authority is acknowledged and uncontested. The planned American civil peace flag raising ceremony stands as a lawful and peaceful act of self-governance and is not subject to statutory civil or admiralty maritime interference. Let this serve as a formal and lawful affirmation of just jurisdiction, standing, and authority. Any future rebuttal must be made in writing under full commercial liability and sworn under the penalty of perjury. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Thanks.
Next, we have Tammy McQuillan.
Hi, everybody. I'm here just to comment about the PNC Bank acquiring land on the parking lot. And I'm not really for that. I think it's a bad idea. I've supported you guys on your other projects, throughout Mansfield. I've seen the vision. I've seen, the planning has been good, but this seems like it's being rushed through. That parking lot is so important to the merchants on Main Street. And so it's really unique. It's easier for people to get to the Main Street businesses. I don't know if you guys are aware, but there are 4 handicap parking spaces in that lot. They're up in the southwest corner, which makes it really good for people with mobility issues because they can park their car, access Main Street sidewalk, go to Crow's, go down to the pizza place, go to the carousel. And if you put this bank in there, those spaces are going to be lost. And then you talk about another parking area. Well, I don't know where it could be, where it would be as convenient of a location if it's anywhere else around the carousel. So I think that needs to be considered. And the other thing is the businesses on Main Street have really been hurting through this project, and they've been supportive. But you got to understand, these are little guys. So they're not like the PNC big bank, that can donate a building and pay money, to kind of force their way in. I just don't think it's fair to them where they've been loyal, they've been patient through this major construction. And now you're going to ask them, okay, we're done with Main Street, but now guess what? PNC Bank is going to go in, take another 18 months of construction, and that's going to be disrupted. These guys they're going to leave. They're going to lose their businesses. They're really hurting. I just talked to one lady. Okay. And, she's at her wits. And so I would, ask you to reconsider because I think this was rushed through. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Jim Artra. Arata, okay, sorry.
Hello. I've come this evening just to ask a question, to know how I would get some help. I have contacted Deborah Mount, our council lady, in the area that's of concern, which is Greendale Avenue. It's where I grew up as a boy, and I kept our family homestead after my parents passed. And it's for a place of remembrance and also for my sisters to stay when they come into town. And Columbia Gas and Global Energy Partners have been working installing new gas lines, and where they took their machinery across the curbs. And I have photo documentation, but it broke big areas of the curb and put trenches in the yard. And I went to the service safety director's office, and the secretary had me submit an email with the photos and the information. But I'm just coming to know where we can get help to get the curbs repaired, because the gas company folks came by and brought a couple workers and picked all the pieces that's broken out of the curb. But now there's areas that there's nothing but dirt, and the water comes down the street when it rains and flows in towards the yard. And I didn't know where I need to go to get help, to know where to go to get the help to get the curbs repaired. So I just wanted to bring that to council's attention. And I appreciate Mrs. Mount had responded to my email that she was going to be checking with codes and permits and so forth. But I just didn't want it to be, they come and picked up the broken pieces, a pretty good pile in the back of a truck. And then I've never seen anyone since. And the Columbia Gas man told me, the supervisor, that they had repeatedly asked the city to meet with them to look at the damage. And now I noticed today that even the home next door, parts of that curb is laying in the street now. So I just thought I would come as a concerned citizen, because when you park along that curb now, before they took the pieces away, that were all broken, it's a safety hazard. So thank you for your time, and hopefully we can, with bringing that to your attention, we can get some help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Tom Ross.
Thank you for hearing me this evening. Part of my comments probably are not necessary right now, since this legislation has been reduced to a 3-meeting, 3-date piece of legislation. But I'd like to make a comment, several. I'm here this evening to comment on the proposed legislation that involves the city of Mansfield and Park National Bank. Initially, I thought, why the fast track? The so-called emergency clause, quoted as Section 4, should be Section 5, since there is already a Section 4 in this legislation. I'm going to read this emergency clause because I think it's something you should consider when the time comes. In that the prompt conveyance of the property is required to facilitate economic development efforts. This ordinance is hereby declared to be an emergency measure necessary for the immediate preservation of public peace, health, and safety of the city of Mansfield. Therefore, this ordinance shall take effect immediately, as long as you voted yes. I don't know where in the world the idea of peace, health, and safety in the city of Mansfield on that corner comes from. I think that's just so far-fetched. I find that totally wrong and unacceptable. The section wasn't even numbered correctly, and our public peace, health, and safety a real issue here. Park National Bank already owns a large empty lot diagonally across the street from its current location. A building there would house many more than the 25 employees a park official says would be employed. That lot used to be the site of the Mansfield Leland Hotel. It's empty, it's available, it's owned by Park National Bank. Why move them into what is proposed? Every time I've parked in the 4th and Main lot, it has been well over 50% full. Many more than much higher percentage than that even. If the city has a true interest in downtown Mansfield, it will maintain it as a parking lot. A no vote will have an extremely detrimental effect on the efforts that are being made right now to improve downtown Mansfield. The old Farmers Bank building, for sale for years, has had no takers, and no development has developed as a result of its being available. I want you to keep that in mind, if you will. Over the years, I was active downtown as president of the Chamber of Commerce, United Way, member of the Regional Planning Commission, among other things. I feel I have some basis from which I speak. Thank you. What is the true condition of that park building? What's it really worth? You know, an old proverb states, and I quote, "Look before you leap and then take the elevator." If you do, you will vote no on this legislation. Only Park National Bank will benefit because the city, not Park National Bank, will have an albatross on their hands. Thank you.
Just for information, when we get the public comment, it's been tradition that we do not, council does not address any comments made in public comments. So it's not that we're shirking you or ignoring you or anything. That's just the practice in the past. So just so everybody knows. With that, I will call up John Ferniak.
I'm representing Engler Properties and for the investors. I'd like to thank council for the benefits they've given our business people. It's been the difference between keeping them alive and watching them close up. It's been wonderful, and thank you so much. The program that you have pulled concerns me greatly because we've had COVID, we've gotten through that. We've had the construction down there, which we're limping through. Engler has done 46 renovations of buildings downtown. We've got 4 more to do. We're also working with a developer that is talented with residential, which I think is important for the downtown, to get more people downtown to do business with people that have businesses there. But if you take 90 parking spaces for this proposed bank building, you're taking 40 people or 90 people, pardon me, away that aren't going to do business downtown. They may do business with Park, but you've got dozens of merchants downtown that are going to really have a problem. And so I think that we've got the cart before the horse. We need to have more parking downtown than we've got, because as those merchants have built businesses, we've put in 9 parking lots downtown, and we still need a big parking lot to feed those merchants. Otherwise, you lose tax dollars, and it's not going to be fun. Thanks so much.
Vaughn? Maybe he left with he signed up for John Todd Park, so maybe he left with those folks. Okay. Moving on. Mr. Esther McNeil. Just remember, Esther, it's been a while since
I
you've been.
know. But I may take my wife's 3 minutes or whatever. So that makes 6 minutes. All of you up on council don't know me. Name is Esther McNeil. I used to be up here. I would have been on council, but not this council. They sent a letter saying that blah, 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 blah. So I give it up. But I'm up here tonight because I keep getting stuff from the city about this is that, this is that. It's a bunch of crap. I'm telling you, a bunch of crap. I got property all over the city. I try to take care of it. People have broken in. I need to put a guard with a gun. But anyway, I got property on Arch Street. And I got letters. You don't cut your grass. Grass is being cut all the time. I pay somebody to cut my grass on Arch 5th, Bowman Street, and it's being cut. I'm tired of the city always on my back, but they've been on my back for a long time. A long time. I know he lives at the clock. But all I can say is that I'm tired. I haven't been up here because I've had heart problem. I still got heart problem. I had a heart operation, all that. But I'm tired. I mean, your grass ain't cut. 12, I pay somebody to cut my grass all over the city. They come down the street, tore down a house. The street got a hole in it. In the street. Grass, weeds grow up in the street. It's on Arch Street. It's growing up in the street. It's not our responsibility. It's your responsibility because the people that you hired they tear down the house, dug down in this concrete, and they put holes in the concrete.
Mr. McNeil,
I know, I'm taking my wife 3 minutes down. All right? They dug down in the street. Grass is growing up out of the street. Who's responsible for that? That's over on Arch Street. Right up the street, right across the street from a house I own. Somebody need to be done, something needs to be done. The city come down.
wrap it up.
Who said wrap it up?
Me,
I,
your time's up.
hey, I'm taking your time. The city come down. And they did the street. The city put too much asphalt in the street where the curve, the asphalt is up over the curve. When it rains hard, where do you think that water goes? I don't, hey, look. You guys better go sit down. Yeah. The water comes into my basement because they built the street, the asphalt, covered the drain. 6 Ward. You're the 6th Ward? My house number 304 East Arch Street. Come by. I'll show you. Next.
Okay, that concludes public comment. Are there any other any other committee reports? Mayor, you have anything for council? Director Andrews? Nothing? Okay. We shall move on then with legislation. With that, I'll call on Mr. Akuchi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move with respect to Bill 25-157, 25-158, and 25-159 that rule requiring legislation be submitted by Monday at 4 p.m. be suspended, and the Bill 25-157 158, 25-159 be allowed on the floor this evening.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded. Council should see the, there we go. I think this is Daly's. This Daly's got to sign in. Okay, motion passes 7-0. Mr. Akuchi?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move with respect to all bills that come before council this evening, that the rule requiring reading on 3 different days be suspended, that each bill be read one time by title only.
Been regularly moved and seconded. Council shall cast their vote on the motion. Motion passes 7-0. With that, we shall proceed with legislation. Bill 25-151, Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Bill 25-151 be read and placed upon the floor for discussion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. The clerk shall read Bill 25-151.
Accept and appropriate forfeiture of money received in the amount of $25,516 and declaring an emergency.
Any discussion on Bill 25-151? Hearing none. Mrs. Meyer?
Thank you, sir. I move that Bill 25-151 be placed upon the floor for final passage.
Second.
Regularly moved and seconded, council shall cast their vote for final passage of Bill 25-151. Bill passes 7-0. Bill 25-152, Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, sir. I move that Bill 25-152 be read and placed upon the floor for discussion.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded, the clerk shall read Bill 25-152.
Authorizing the Safety Service Director to accept and appropriate a donation from Harbor Freight in the amount of $100 and declaring an emergency.
Any discussion on Bill 25-152? Okay. Hearing none, Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, sir. I move that Bill 25-152 be placed upon the floor for final passage.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded, the council shall cast their vote for final passage of Bill 25-152. Bill passes 7-0. Bill 25-153, Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Bill 25-153 be read and placed upon the floor for discussion.
Second.
And regularly moved and seconded, the clerk shall read Bill 25-153.
Authorizing the Safety Service Director to purchase from the Jim Shorkey Auto Group 2026 Dodge Durangos for the Police Division K-9 unit and declaring an emergency.
Is there any discussion on Bill 25-153? Okay. Hearing none, council shall cast their vote for final passage of Bill 25-153.
We need to make a motion. Need to make the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mrs. Meyer.
Second.
Okay, now council shall cast their vote for final passage of Bill 25-153. Sorry about that, folks. Bill passes 7-0. Bill 25-154, Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, sir. I move that Bill 25-154 be read and placed upon the
Second.
And regularly moved and seconded, the clerk shall read Bill 25-154.
Accept and appropriate a grant from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security under the FY 2024 Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program in the amount of $259,841.79 to be used for building improvements, training, and related overtime costs, and declaring an emergency.
Is there any discussion on Bill 25-154? Ms. Mount?
Just to thank you again to Captain Urian and the fire department for going after these funds and bringing them in to help the department and the whole city. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Okay. Hearing none, Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, sir. I move that Bill 25-154 be placed upon the floor for final passage.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded, council shall cast their vote for final passage of Bill 25-154. Bill passes 7-0. Bill 25-155, Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Bill 25-155 be read and placed upon the floor for discussion.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded, the clerk shall read Bill 25-155.
Authorizing the adoption of a policy to permit the use of employee dishonesty and faithful performance of duty policies in lieu of surety bonds for officers, employees, and appointees of the city of Mansfield, and declaring an emergency.
Is there any discussion on Bill 25-155? Hearing none, Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, sir. I move that Bill 25-155 be placed upon the floor for final passage.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded, council shall cast their vote for final passage of Bill 25-155. Bill passes 7-0. Bill 25-156 was caucus only. Okay. Mr. Fouquet.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Bill 25-156 be read and placed upon the floor for discussion.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded. The clerk shall read Bill 25-156.
authorizing the conveyance of real property to the Mansfield Community Improvement Corporation and declaring an emergency.
Is there any discussion on Bill 25-156? Mr. Paquette?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just real quick, again, wanted to thank everybody that came out to speak on this. I'm glad for the people that did speak on it. And I'm sure people will reach out by phone or email or letter, if anybody still types letters and puts them in the mail, or email, but please include your name, address, and phone number so that we can reach out and ask questions and things along that line as we make consideration of this for the next meeting in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Any other discussion, comments on 25-156? Mr. Diaz?
Thank you, Mr. President. I guess it's kind of repetitive, but thanking that Mayor Perry again for transparency. We said it's like it's a whole new time where, you know, we don't have to guess what's happening in the city and sharing all this information, and it's good seeing faces. You guys need to come often, not just when we discuss these things as well. But like I guess I'm going to just ditto everything that Councilman Paquette said and thank those who reached out to us.
Anyone else? Ms. Daly?
My question is, you know, I thought of it also when one of the residents mentioned that Park National does have a property. Why wouldn't they think of that property with regards to the one that we own? Does anybody have an answer for that?
I certainly don't if you're looking at me, but I think
No,
that's-
no, not really.
I think that's a question that you know, can be researched over the next couple
Yeah.
weeks, and we'll see what
Yeah.
what comes out of it.
Okay.
I would just add, I mean, I don't want to speak on behalf of the bank, but I think that, you know, as I noted earlier, redeveloping the lot is something that we have been talking about for some time. And I think that the bank likes what they're seeing happen in downtown and on Main Street and wanted to be a part of that. Again, all of that being underscored by the fact that we know that we need the parking. Two other things I'll add, just as long as you called on me. One is I am going to attend the downtown Mansfield merchant meeting on Thursday morning. So I know there's a lot of folks that are in the room that are merchants or related, and you did not speak up, but please, I will be there and happy to talk more about this. I owe Joyce a phone call back and others. So by all means, please attend that. It's going to be at 9 o'clock at the carousel, actually. So, and then there is no CIC meeting tomorrow night because we do not have a quorum in the end. So just since you all got that email probably earlier today, I'm just going to tell you, you can take it off your calendar because everyone's busy apparently.
Okay. Any other? Yes.
Another question is, we do have parking at the property. Is it owned by the city? Is it possible that we could do a elevated garage there? Just a thought.
So I think ultimately we would like to have tiered parking, a garage. I mean, that was really when we talked about developing the lot, that I think is our ultimate aim, is to have that. So that we can make the best use of the frontage along the street, both on 4th Street as well as Diamond and Main, but taking care of the parking in a different way. Garages are not inexpensive. The 2-deck garage at Ohio Health was about $3 million a deck, and that was 10 years ago now. However, we have talked with other communities, Springfield, Kent, and several others communities our size have figured out the garage. And it's typically through a public-private partnership. So I think that that's the long-term solution. And then the short-term solution to me is that we can get some surface spaces to replace what's being proposed. And I will say too, that, Park is not going to use the entire parcel that they're looking at. And they have committed to having public parking on their lot. And they're also going to be having their employees park offsite. So I know that was another concern from folks that, are their employees going to take those spots? So, so those are things that we have talked that I just would like to add, since there's certainly folks in the audience that are interested.
Would Park National be able to come here and explain to, residents who are concerned?
Sure, I can add. Chris was actually here earlier, so he just left. So, but yes, I can have a chat with him and see if we can do a little bit more on that.
Any other questions, comments, concerns about 25-156? Okay, that would be considered as first read. Bill 25-157, Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill 25-157 be read and placed upon the floor for discussion.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded. The clerk shall read Bill 25-157.
Adopting personnel positions, pay grades, and salaries for certain employees of the city of Mansfield, 2026 payroll year, and declaring an emergency.
Any discussion on Bill 25-157? Hearing none. Mrs. Meyer.
Thank you, sir. I move the bill 25-157 be placed upon the floor for final passage.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded. Council shall cast their vote for final passage of Bill 25-157. Bill passes 7-0. Bill 25-158, Mr. Falkett.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Bill 25-158 be read and placed upon the floor for discussion.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded. The clerk shall read Bill 25-158.
Authorizing the Public Works Director to enter into an agreement for industrial, commercial distribution and research development and other services with the Mansfield Community Improvement Corporation and declaring an emergency.
Any discussion, comments on 25-158? Okay. Seeing, hearing none. Mr. Falkett.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Bill 25-158 be placed upon the floor for final passage.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded. Council shall cast their vote for final passage of Bill 25-158. Bill passes 7-0. Bill 25-159, Ms. Mount.
Thank you, Mr. President. Bill 25-159, or I move that Bill 25-159 be read and placed upon the floor for discussion.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded. Clerk shall read Bill 25-159.
Amending the zoning districts map of the city of Mansfield, Ohio, ordinance 04-208 to rezone one parcel located at and around Annandale Avenue, Mansfield, Ohio, from zoning classification B1 Neighborhood Business District to B2 General Business District classification and declaring an emergency.
Is there any discussion on Bill 25-159, Ms. Mount?
Thank you, Mr. President. The owner, I'd seen he was here, but he left. I was hoping he might comment in public comment what his plans were and his reasoning. But being that he's not here, we don't know really anything more on it, so.
Mr. President.
Other than what goes.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Robinson.
I have some concerns about this. Number one, I put a lot, I've sat on City Planning Commission and I put a lot of weight in what they say. And also I'm familiar with the area and that it abuts Madison Township, and that's kind of an insulated, nice little residential area there with people that's been there a long time. I have some concerns if the owner had been here to ask, because I know what intentions are, but I also know that those can change. And this ruling is going to affect a lot of people. It's been in that area for a long time. So I have some concerns about that as well. I just want to express that.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns about 159? Mr. Akuchi?
Thank you, Mr. President. Myself too, I do have concerns because I didn't hear what the neighbors there think about it. when it was been explained. And if the planning commission voted it down, I believe they put a lot of effort in making that decision. So personally will not be voting for it.
Okay, anyone else? Council, Ms. Mount?
I believe there was no residents that showed up or that commented at the city planning commission either. They were notified though.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. With that, I'm sorry, looking over Ms. Mount.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Bill 25-159 be placed upon the floor for final consideration.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded. Council shall cast their vote for final passage of Bill 25-159. And it does not pass 7-0 to 7. So does not pass. Fails unanimously. Okay, is there anything else to come before council this evening? I ask of you in closing.
Move to close.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded. We adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. We are adjourned.